Chapter 1. The Crushing Glimpse. The security camera footage flickered, a cruel window into a shattered life. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and there she was, my wife, Sarah, in our bed with another man. While this intimate betrayal unfolded, I, David Miller, a 42-year-old running a custom furniture business from my garage, was across town meticulously installing kitchen cabinets. My workshop, usually a sanctuary of wood and purpose, felt like a cold, empty tomb. It wasn't a glamorous life, but it was honest, and it provided for Sarah and our 16-year-old daughter, Emily. Or so it had, until I watched the high-definition spectacle of my marriage disintegrating on my laptop screen. "Dad, you look like you've seen a ghost." Emily's voice cut through the silence as she walked into the workshop. I sat frozen, mesmerized by the damning images. With a jolt, I slammed the laptop shut, my hands trembling. "Just some work stuff, sweetheart. Nothing for you to worry about." "Shouldn't you be at soccer practice?" she asked, a frown creasing her brow. "Coach canceled. Mom's not home yet, and I'm starving. Can you make me a sandwich?" I nodded, a hollow gesture, and followed her into the house. The same house where Sarah had hosted her lover a mere 3 hours earlier. The same bed where we'd shared 15 years of our lives. Where Emily had sought refuge during childhood thunderstorms. Where I'd held Sarah close 2 years ago, through the terror of her father's cancer scare. Now, the kitchen felt foreign. Everything felt wrong. "Earth to Dad," Emily waved a hand in front of my face. "You're acting super weird." "Sorry, kiddo. Just thinking about a new project." I opened the refrigerator, a small, desperate attempt at normalcy. "Turkey and Swiss. Perfect." "Oh, and Mom texted. She's working late again tonight. Some big HR thing at the office." Working late? Indeed. I'd installed those security cameras 3 weeks ago, prompted by our neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, who'd mentioned unusual activity around our house during the day. I'd suspected a potential break-in. It turned out the only thing being violated was my marriage. I assembled Emily's sandwich with mechanical precision, my mind a whirlwind of fury and disbelief. The man in the video was Chris Peterson, Sarah's coworker from the regional office. I'd met him at company parties, tall, athletic, exuding an air of expensive cologne, always boasting about his CrossFit times. The type to make condescending jokes about blue-collar types, like me. "Yeah, you're putting way too much mustard on that sandwich," Emily observed, pulling me back from the brink of my dark thoughts. I looked down. She was right. I'd been squeezing the bottle unconsciously, lost in a growing desire for retribution. Chapter 2. Threads of Vengeance. After Emily finished eating and headed upstairs to tackle her homework, I retreated to my workshop. There, amidst the tools of creation, I meticulously plotted destruction. I was skilled with my hands, adept at building, and equally capable of dismantling. Tonight, I intended to take Sarah's meticulously crafted world apart, piece by agonizing piece. My first call was to my best friend Eddie, who owned Murphy's Tavern downtown. "David, what's going on, buddy?" "Eddie, I need a favor. A monumental one." "Name it." "Can you vouch for me if anyone asks? Say I was at the bar tonight from 6 till closing." A heavy silence followed. "David, what kind of trouble are you wading into?" "The kind where I catch my wife cheating and I need an alibi for what comes next." "Jesus Christ. You're serious about this?" "I've got it on video, Eddie. High def surround sound. The full production." "That witch." "Yeah, I got your back. But David, don't do anything stupid." "Don't worry. I'm not going to physically harm anyone, but I am going to ensure everyone knows exactly who Sarah truly is." Next, I called Sarah's parents. Eleanor and Robert Thompson lived in the grand old Victorian on Maple Street, a house that had been in their family for 3 generations. They were respectable people, church-going, the kind who still believed in the sanctity of marriage vows and family honor. "Hello, Robert. It's David. I need to speak with you and Eleanor about something important. Can I come over tonight?" "Of course, son. Is everything all right? You sound troubled." "I'll explain when I get there. And Robert, you might want to suggest Eleanor sit down for this conversation." At 7:30, I stood on the Thompsons' porch, my laptop bag clutched in my hand. Eleanor answered, her silver hair impeccably styled despite the late hour. "David, dear, come in. Robert's in the living room. Would you like some coffee?" "No, thank you, Eleanor, but you should probably sit down." We gathered in their formal living room, a space of dark wood and ancestral portraits. I placed my laptop on the coffee table between us. "I installed security cameras in our house 3 weeks ago," I began. "I suspected a possible break-in. Instead, I uncovered something entirely different." I opened the laptop and turned the screen towards them. This was recorded today at 2:47 p.m. I pressed play. Eleanor gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Robert's face drained of color, then flushed crimson, then a deep mottled purple. "Turn it off," Eleanor whispered, her voice barely audible. "Please, turn it off." I closed the laptop. There are more hours of it. Different days, different positions. Robert abruptly rose, his hands clenched into fists. "That's our daughter. Our daughter whom we raised to be a decent woman, a faithful wife." "I'm sorry you had to witness that," I said, my voice flat. "But I needed you to know the truth before I proceed with what I'm about to do." "What are you planning, David?" Eleanor asked, tears streaming down her face. "I'm going to make sure everyone knows what she's done. Her friends, her coworkers, everyone at church. I'm going to systematically dismantle her reputation just as she dismantled our marriage." Robert nodded slowly. "She's made her bed. Now she can lie in it." "With Chris Peterson, apparently," I added, a bitter edge to my tone. Chapter 3. The Unveiling. The following morning, I set my carefully laid plan into motion. My first call was to my assistant Mark, informing him I'd be taking a few days off due to a family emergency. Then I called Sarah at her office. "Hey, honey," I said, forcing a semblance of normalcy into my voice. "I just landed a last-minute job in Chicago. Big money, custom dining room set for some tech executive. I'll be gone until Friday." "Oh," she said, and I could hear the barely suppressed thrill in her tone. That's wonderful, David. The extra money will be nice." "Yeah, I'm heading out this afternoon. Kiss Emily for me when she gets home from school." "Of course. Drive safe." I hung up and immediately dialed Mrs. Henderson, our 70-year-old neighbor. She was a neighborhood institution, privy to everyone's business and notoriously eager to share. "Mrs. Henderson, it's David Miller from next door." "Oh, hello, dear. How are you?" "I'm fine, thank you. Listen, I'm going out of town for a few days on business, and I was wondering if you could keep an eye on the house. Perhaps watch for any unusual activity." "Of course, dear. You know I'm always watching out for the neighborhood." Perfect. Mrs. Henderson possessed surveillance skills that would put the FBI to shame. I spent the remainder of the day at Eddie's bar, nursing a beer and waiting. At 4 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Chris is coming over for dinner tonight to discuss the Henderson Project. Don't wait up when you get to Chicago." The Henderson Project, indeed. At 6 p.m., I parked 3 blocks from my house and made my way back through the woods behind our property. From the ancient oak tree in our backyard, the very tree where Emily's tire swing hung, where Sarah and I had carved our initials 20 years ago, young and foolish and deeply in love, I had a perfect vantage point of our bedroom window. At 7:15, Chris's silver BMW glided into my driveway. I watched him approach my front door, a bottle of wine and a bouquet of flowers in hand. My flowers for my wife, in my house. I pulled out my phone and called the house. Sarah answered on the second ring. Hello? Hey, babe. Just wanted to let you know I made it to Chicago safely. Oh, that's good. I was just finishing up some work with Chris. Chris is there at our house? Yes, we're going over the Henderson files. You know how complicated that account is, right? Well, don't work too hard. I love you. Love you, too. Bye. Through the living room window, I saw them. Chris's hand was already on her back, guiding her towards the stairs. I waited 30 agonizing minutes, then made my move. I still had my house key, of course. I crept through the front door as quietly as possible, the sounds emanating from upstairs turning my stomach. I tiptoed to the hall closet and retrieved my old baseball bat, the Louisville Slugger from my high school days, the one Sarah always complained about me keeping. Then I called Sarah's parents. Robert, it's David. I need you and Eleanor to come to the house right now. What's wrong? She's here with him, right now. We'll be right there. I waited on the front porch. The Thompsons arrived 10 minutes later, Robert's face grim, Eleanor clutching her purse like a weapon. Are you certain about this, David? Eleanor whispered, her voice trembling. Listen, I said. We stood in the cool evening air, and the unmistakable sounds from our bedroom window confirmed everything. Dear God, Eleanor breathed. I unlocked the front door. After you. We ascended the stairs together, three people united in a righteous, burning anger. The bedroom door was closed, but not locked. I slowly turned the handle and pushed it open. Chapter 4, The Reckoning. They were so consumed by each other that they didn't notice us at first. Chris was wearing my bathrobe, my favorite robe, the one Sarah had given me for Christmas 3 years ago. Sarah wore nothing but the pearl necklace her grandmother had bequeathed to her. Well, well, I said, my voice cutting through the intimate hum. The Henderson project is certainly more hands-on than I expected. Sarah shrieked, snatching for the sheet. Chris yelped and sprang up so fast he tripped over his own feet, crashing into my dresser and sending my watch collection scattering across the floor. David, Sarah gasped, her eyes wide with terror. What are you? You're supposed to be in Chicago. Surprise, I said, a grim smile playing on my lips. I brought some guests. That's when she saw her parents standing behind me. Eleanor stared at her daughter with a mixture of horror and profound disgust. Robert's gaze was fixed on Chris, pure, unadulterated rage distorting his features. Mom, Dad, what are you doing here? We came to see what kind of woman we raised. Robert's voice shook with suppressed fury. Apparently, we failed. Chris, meanwhile, was frantically trying to pull on his pants, hopping around on one foot like a pathetic clown. Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Thompson, this isn't what it looks like. It looks like you're screwing my daughter in her husband's bed while wearing his bathrobe, Robert boomed. What exactly should it look like? I can explain, Sarah stammered, clutching the sheet tightly to her chest. Please do, I said, leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed. I'm utterly fascinated to hear how this is all one big misunderstanding. She opened her mouth, then snapped it shut. What excuse could she possibly conjure? That she tripped and fell onto Chris? You disgust me, Eleanor said quietly, her voice laced with venom. Both of you. In this house, in this bed where my granddaughter was conceived. The words landed with the force of a physical blow. Sarah began to cry, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were the self-pitying tears of someone caught red-handed. Everyone just needs to calm down, Chris interjected, finally managing to zip his pants. We can work this out like adults. Adults, I scoffed, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. Adults don't sneak around behind their spouse's back. Adults don't screw their coworker's wife in his own bed. Adults don't lie about working late when they're actually working under my wife. David, please, Sarah pleaded. Can we talk about this privately? No, I said, my voice steel. Privacy is precisely what landed us in this mess. From this moment forward, everything is public. Chris attempted to push past me towards the door, but I blocked his path. Where do you think you're going, champ? I'm leaving. This is between you and your wife. Oh, no. You are very much a part of this conversation. Sit down. I don't have to listen to this. I picked up my baseball bat from where I'd leaned it against the wall. I said, sit down. Chris sank onto the edge of my bed, still in my robe over his hastily pulled-on pants. The irony was not lost on me. Here's what's going to happen, I stated, addressing both of them. First, you're going to tell Sarah's parents exactly how long this has been going on. David, please, Sarah whispered, her eyes pleading. How long? Robert demanded, his voice a low growl. Sarah looked at the floor. 6 months. 6 months, I repeated, the words tasting like ash. 6 months of working late and business dinners and team-building exercises. 6 months of lying to my face every single day. It wasn't supposed to happen, Chris offered weakly. It just developed naturally. Naturally, Eleanor scoffed, her voice sharp. There's nothing natural about adultery, young man. Mrs. Thompson, you don't understand the pressure we're under at work. Sarah and we connect on a professional level that... Shut up, I commanded. Just shut up with your corporate buzzword bullshit. You wanted to screw my wife, so you did. At least have the balls to admit it. Robert stepped forward, his eyes burning into Sarah's. Sarah, look at me. She slowly raised her gaze to meet her father's. Your mother and I raised you better than this. We taught you about commitment, about honor, about keeping your word. What happened to those values? I don't know, she whispered, defeated. I felt trapped, like my life was just routine. Chris made me feel alive again. Alive, I repeated, a bitter taste in my mouth. Well, let's see how alive you feel when everyone at your office sees the security footage. Chris's face went white. What security footage? I smiled, a cold, hard curve of my lips. The cameras I installed 3 weeks ago. They've been recording everything. Every kiss, every touch, every time you've been in my house screwing my wife. High definition, perfect audio quality. You can't do that, Sarah exclaimed, her voice rising. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. It's my house, and I have every legal right to install security cameras. I also have every legal right to share that footage with whoever I choose. David, please, she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. Now, think about Emily. Think about our daughter. I am thinking about Emily. I'm thinking about how she deserves better than a mother who lies and cheats and brings strange men into our home. I'm not a strange man, Chris protested, indignation coloring his voice. I've been to your barbecues, your Christmas parties. Right. You've been to our parties where you ate my food, drank my beer, and meticulously planned how to seduce my wife. That actually makes it worse, doesn't it? Eleanor was staring at her daughter with unbridled disgust. How could you do this to your family, to your sacred marriage vows? You don't understand what it's like being married to him, Sarah retorted, gesturing vaguely in my direction. He's always working, always covered in sawdust, never wants to go anywhere or do anything exciting. So, you decided to do someone exciting instead. I countered, the irony not lost on me. Problem solved. Robert shook his head, a gesture of profound disappointment. We're leaving. Eleanor, come on. Wait, I said. There's more. I pulled out my phone and opened the photo gallery. Chris, you might want to see this. I showed him a picture I'd taken of his BMW in our driveway, a crystal clear shot of his license plate. I've been meticulously documenting everything. Dates, times, how long you stay, what you bring with you. I've accumulated 3 weeks of undeniable evidence, clearly establishing a pattern of adultery. What do you want? Chris asked, his voice now a pathetic whimper. I want you to understand that your life, as you know it, is over. Your girlfriend, Jessica, is going to find out. Your coworkers are going to find out. Your CrossFit buddies are going to find out. Everyone is going to know that Chris Peterson is the kind of man who seduces married women. You bastard, he yelled. I'm the bastard? I'm not the one who's been screwing someone else's wife for 6 months? Sarah rose, wrapping the sheet tightly around herself. Fine. You want a divorce? You'll get a divorce. But I'm not going to let you destroy my life over this. Your life? I laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. Lady, you destroyed your own life the minute you brought him into our bed. The court will see this as harassment, she asserted. You can't just humiliate us publicly and expect to get away with it. Actually, I can. Everything I plan to do is perfectly legal. Sharing security footage from my own home? Legal. Telling people the truth about what I witnessed? Legal. Making sure everyone knows what kind of people you truly are? Completely legal. Chris stood up, his face a mask of panic. I'm leaving now. Sure, I said, stepping aside. But Chris, you might want to check your car before you drive home. He shoved past me and thundered down the stairs. A minute later, we heard his enraged scream from the driveway. What did you do? Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Nothing illegal, I said, my gaze fixed on her. But you might want to look out the window. She rushed to the window and gasped, a guttural sound, a pure shock. I had spray-painted homewrecker across Chris's windshield in bright red letters. You can't do that. I just did. And that, Sarah, is merely the beginning. Robert put his arm around his wife. Eleanor, we're going home. Sarah, don't bother calling us until you've managed to figure out how to apologize for this disgrace. After her parents left, Sarah turned to me, her eyes blazing with fury. You think you're so clever, don't you? You think you've won something here? I think I've exposed the truth, I corrected her, my voice calm despite the storm raging inside me. Everything else is simply consequences. I'll destroy you in the divorce. I'll take half of everything, including your precious workshop. Good luck with that, Sarah. You see, adultery is still grounds for a fault-based divorce in this state. And I've got evidence, copious amounts of evidence. She stared at me for a long, silent moment, her mind visibly calculating, desperately searching for her next move. Emily's going to hate you for this, she finally spat. Emily's going to hate the person who broke up our family, I replied, my voice steady. And that, in case you're confused, would be you. I turned and walked towards the door. Where are you going? She called after me. Out. This is still my house for now, but frankly, I can't stand the smell of you and your deception. Chapter 5, Rebuilding. I drove straight to Eddie's Tavern, where he waited with a cold beer and a sympathetic ear. How'd it go? He asked, his eyes full of concern. Better than expected. Her parents saw everything. Chris is probably still trying to scrape paint off his windshield. Good for you, man. That took guts. Eddie, I need another favor. Name it. I need you to accidentally let it slip to a few people about what happened. You know, just casual conversation. Eddie grinned, a mischievous glint in his eye. Accidentally? Oh, I can certainly do accidentally. Murphy's Tavern was a place where secrets had a notoriously short lifespan. By closing time, half the neighborhood would know that Sarah Miller was a cheater, having a sordid affair with some corporate pretty boy. I was 3 beers deep when my phone began to buzz with text messages. The first was from Mrs. Henderson. Dear, I saw that young man leaving your house in quite a hurry. Is everything all right? I texted back, everything's fine now, Mrs. Henderson. Thanks for keeping an eye on things. The second was from Chris. You're going to pay for what you did to my car. I replied, send me the repair bill. I'll frame it. The third was from Sarah. We need to talk. I ignored that one. The fourth, however, brought me crashing back to sobriety. It was from my daughter, Emily. Dad, Mom is crying and won't tell me what's wrong. Where are you? That one sobered me up faster than anything. I called Emily immediately. Hey, sweetheart. Dad, what's going on? Mom's been locked in your bedroom for 2 hours, and there's red paint all over the driveway. I'll be home in 20 minutes. We need to have a talk. Is everything okay? No, honey. Everything is definitely not okay. But it will be. I drove home, dreading the conversation that lay ahead. Emily was smart, mature for her age, but she was still my little girl. How do you tell your 16-year-old daughter that her mother is a cheating liar? Emily was waiting for me in the living room when I walked in. Sarah was nowhere to be seen. Dad, you're scaring me. What happened? I sat down next to her on the couch. Emily, your mom and I are getting divorced. Her face crumpled. Why? What did you do? I didn't do anything, sweetheart. Your mother has been seeing another man. What do you mean seeing another man? I mean, she's been having an affair for 6 months. Emily stared at me, processing this devastating information. Are you sure? I have video evidence. Oh my God. She buried her head in her hands. Someone from her work. It doesn't matter who. It does matter. I want to know who destroyed our family. I sighed. His name is Chris Peterson. You've met him at company parties. The guy with the fancy car? The one who always talks about his workout routine? That's him. Emily was quiet for a long time. Then she said, her voice small but fierce, I hate her. Don't say that. She's still your mother. She's a liar and a cheater. How could she do this to us? I don't know, honey. People make bad choices sometimes. Bad choices, Dad. This isn't a bad choice. This is evil. Before I could respond, Sarah appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. Emily, can we talk? No, Emily said firmly, not looking up. I don't want to talk to you. Please, sweetheart, let me explain. Explain what? How you've been lying to us for 6 months. How you brought your boyfriend into our house. Sarah slowly descended the stairs. It's complicated, Emily. You don't understand adult relationships. I understand cheating. Emily shot back, rising to her feet, her voice rising with each word. I understand lying. I understand that you destroyed our family because you were bored. That's not fair. Fair? Emily's voice reached a crescendo. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that Dad had to find out his wife was cheating by installing security cameras? Is it fair that I have to find out my mother is a liar? Emily, please. No, I'm going to stay with Grandma and Grandpa Thompson. I can't even look at you right now. Emily ran upstairs to pack a bag. Sarah turned to me, desperation in her eyes. David, please help me fix this. Fix this, Sarah? You can't fix this. You broke something that can't be repaired. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk at the store. This was a choice. 6 months of choices. I'll end it with Chris. I'll do whatever you want. It's too late for that. Way too late. Emily came back downstairs with her overnight bag. I called Grandma. She's coming to pick me up. Emily, please don't go, Sarah begged, tears streaming down her face. We're not a family anymore, Emily said coldly, her gaze piercing. You made sure of that. 20 minutes later, Eleanor Thompson arrived to collect her granddaughter. She didn't even acknowledge Sarah's presence. After they left, the house felt empty and cold. Sarah and I stood in our living room like strangers. So what now? She asked, her voice hollow. Now you pack a bag and find somewhere else to stay. I'll file for divorce tomorrow. This is my house too. Not anymore. You see, I did some research today. In a fault-based divorce due to adultery, the innocent spouse gets to keep the marital home, especially when there's video evidence of the adultery taking place in said home. Her face went white. You can't kick me out. I'm not kicking you out. I'm asking you to leave voluntarily. If you refuse, I'll have you removed. You bastard. I'm the bastard? Really? After everything you've done, I'm the bad guy here? She stormed upstairs to pack. While she was gone, I called my lawyer, Jim Patterson, and left a message explaining the situation. When Sarah came back down with her suitcase, I was waiting by the front door. Where will you go? I asked. Chris's apartment, I guess. Good. You two deserve each other. She paused at the door, her eyes meeting mine. David, I really am sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. After she left, I poured myself a large whiskey and sat in my workshop, surrounded by the furniture I had built with my own hands. Everything in my life that mattered, my marriage, my family, my future, had been destroyed by my wife's selfishness. But I wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. The next morning, I woke up with a hangover and a renewed sense of purpose. I called Jim Patterson first thing. David, I got your message. Jesus Christ, what a mess. Jim, I want to destroy them both. Legally. What are my options? Well, you've got solid grounds for a fault-based divorce, which means you'll likely get the house, majority custody of Emily, and a very favorable asset division. As for the boyfriend, if he's been in your house without permission, it could be trespassing. What about at work? They're coworkers. If their relationship violates company policy, that's their problem. Do you know if their company has a fraternization policy? I'll find out. My next call was to Sarah's boss, Regional Director Patricia Walsh. I'd met Patricia several times at company functions. She was a no-nonsense woman who ran a tight ship. Patricia, this is David Miller, Sarah's husband. Oh, hello, David. How are you? I've been better. I'm calling because I thought you should know that Sarah and Chris Peterson have been having an affair for the past 6 months. There was a long pause. That's a very serious accusation, David. I have video evidence, security footage from my home showing them together on multiple occasions during work hours. I see. Can you send me that evidence? I'll email it to you this afternoon. David, I have to ask. Are you sure you want to go down this road? Once I receive that evidence, I'll have to take action. Patricia, they've been using company time and resources to conduct their affair. Chris has been at my house during work hours. They've been lying to their colleagues about the relationship. Yes, I'm sure I want you to see the evidence. I understand. Send me what you have. After I hung up, I spent 2 grueling hours editing the security footage into a comprehensive presentation. I included timestamps showing Chris's car in my driveway during work hours, audio of him and Sarah discussing work matters while in bed together, and clear shots of both their faces so there could be no doubt about their identities. I sent the file to Patricia with a detailed timeline and a list of dates when the affair had taken place during business hours. Then I called Mrs. Henderson. Mrs. Henderson, it's David Miller. Oh, hello, dear. How are you holding up? I'm managing. Mrs. Henderson, I wanted to thank you for keeping an eye on the house. Your vigilance helped me discover that my wife was having an affair. Oh my goodness. I knew something was going on. That silver car was there so often during the day. Yes. Well, I just wanted you to know, in case anyone asks. Sarah and I are getting divorced. Of course, dear. Is there anything I can do to help? Actually, if anyone asks about what you saw, please feel free to tell them the truth. Mrs. Henderson was more efficient than any newspaper for spreading information. By evening, everyone in the neighborhood would know about Sarah's affair. My phone rang around noon. It was Chris. You son of a bitch, he snarled without preamble. Good morning to you too, Chris. Patricia Walsh just called me into her office. She's seen your little video presentation. How'd that go? We're both suspended pending investigation. If they find evidence of misconduct, we could be fired. Gee, that's terrible. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to screw married women during work hours. You're destroying our careers over a personal matter. Personal matter? Chris, you made it a professional matter when you started using company time to conduct your affair. You made it my business when you started doing it in my house. Sarah's devastated. Good. She should be devastated. She should be ashamed and humiliated and sorry for what she's done. We never meant for this to happen. Bullshit. You meant for every bit of it to happen. You just didn't mean to get caught. Hang up on me. An hour later, Sarah called. David, please. You have to call Patricia Walsh and tell her you made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake. You did. They're going to fire us both. Is that what you want? For me to lose my job? Sarah, I don't care what happens to your job. I don't care what happens to Chris's job. I care about the fact that you destroyed our marriage and humiliated our daughter. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll cut off all contact with Chris. It's too late. It's not too late. We can fix this. No, we can't. And even if we could, I wouldn't want to. You showed me who you really are, Sarah. You're not the woman I married. You're not the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. She was crying now. Please, David, I love you. No, you don't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. I hung up and turned off my phone. That evening, Emily called me from her grandparents' house. Dad, Mom came over here crying and begging Grandma and Grandpa to talk to you. What did they say? Grandpa told her she made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. Grandma wouldn't even let her in the house. How are you doing, sweetheart? I'm angry. I'm sad, but I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. Thanks, kiddo. That means a lot. Dad, are you going to be okay? Yeah, Emily. I'm going to be fine. We both are. 2 days later, Jim Patterson called with an update. David, I've got good news and bad news. Give me the bad news first. Sarah's hired a lawyer. She's going to fight the divorce. And the good news? Her lawyer is an idiot. He's trying to claim that your security cameras were installed illegally and that the footage is inadmissible. Is he right? Not even close. You have every right to install security cameras in your own home. The footage is absolutely admissible, and it's damning. What about the work situation? I heard through the grapevine that both Sarah and Chris were terminated yesterday for violating company policy. I felt a surge of satisfaction. Really? Really? Apparently, your video presentation was very thorough. Their company has a strict policy against fraternization between employees, and conducting personal relationships during work hours is grounds for immediate termination. So they're both unemployed. Both unemployed. Both facing a messy divorce proceeding, and both dealing with the social consequences of their actions. Good. The final piece of my revenge clicked into place the following weekend. Eddie called me Saturday morning. David, you need to get down to the bar now. Why? What's happening? Chris is here. He's drunk out of his mind and running his mouth about you. I was there in 10 minutes. Chris was at the bar, 3 sheets to the wind, loudly proclaiming to anyone who would listen that I was a psychotic control freak who had ruined his life over nothing. Nothing? I said, walking up behind him. You call 6 months of screwing my wife nothing. He spun around, swaying slightly. David, there's the man of the hour. Chris, you're drunk. Go home. I don't have a home anymore. Thanks to you, I can't afford my apartment. Thanks to you, I don't have a job. Thanks to you, my girlfriend left me. Thanks to me, Chris, I didn't make you cheat. I didn't make you lie. I didn't make you destroy 2 families. That was all you. You set us up. You knew we were coming over that night. I knew because you'd been coming over for 6 months. I knew because you're both terrible liars. The bar had fallen silent. Everyone was watching our confrontation. You want to know the truth? Chris slurred loudly. Your wife came to me. She said you were boring in bed, boring in life, boring in every way that matters. That was it. I grabbed Chris by his shirt and slammed him against the bar. You want to talk about boring? Let's talk about how you're a 34-year-old man who peaked in high school. Let's talk about how you have to seduce married women because no single woman will put up with your bullshit for more than a month. Keep your hands off me. Let's talk about how you're unemployed, homeless, and universally despised by everyone who knows what you did. I released him and stepped back. You're pathetic, Chris. You were pathetic when you were sneaking around with my wife, and you're pathetic now. He took a wild swing at me. I ducked easily and watched him stumble past, crashing into a table. Eddie, call him a cab, I said. He's done here. As Chris was dragged out of the bar, still mumbling threats and insults, I realized that my revenge was complete. Sarah had lost her job, her family, her reputation, and her future. Chris had lost everything too. Their affair had cost them more than they could have possibly imagined. I walked out of Murphy's Tavern into the cool night air, feeling lighter than I had in months. Tomorrow, I would begin rebuilding my life. Tonight, I was finally free. Emily moved back home the following week. We ordered pizza and watched movies, just the 2 of us, like we used to when she was little. Dad, she said during a commercial break. Yeah? I'm glad you fought back. I'm glad you didn't just let them get away with it. Me too, kiddo. Me too. 6 months later, the divorce was final. I got the house, majority custody of Emily, and most of our assets. Sarah received a small settlement and weekend visitation rights. She moved to another state with what was left of her savings. Chris moved back in with his parents. I kept the security cameras